Danny, George, thank you very much for doing this, something a little bit different. We're really, really excited. Obviously, we're going to talk the Olympics. But first, if we can, George, just go all the way back to being a young kid, growing up, and your dad's a footballer. He's playing for England. He's playing in the Premier League. Talk us through what that was like and some of your earliest memories of Dad and what he was doing.
I mean, most of it I probably can't remember.
The World Cup you can't remember,
I'm not as old as I look.
Unfortunately, yeah. I was probably a bit too young to see the real good stuff. I have vague memories of Man City and the stuff around and after that, but Leeds, the World Cup and the stuff before, unfortunately, don't.
I think he came to see me when I was on loan at Charlton for the second spell.
Yeah.
Going to places like away to Coventry and places like that. Not quite as glamorous.
As the World Cup is, not as glamorous.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So, I was only 21. George was born 3 days before we got relegated at Charlton. So, I was a very young father. So yeah, it's great in some ways, but I always say it's not a regret. But the only thing that maybe I would have done or would have liked to see is all the kids to have seen me play at some point rather than have to make them watch VHS.
Yeah. We got the videotapes out for a bit.
That's how long ago it is, videotapes.
Yeah.
We saw your Charlton promotion video and the World Cup video, obviously, which was cool. But there's just not so much on YouTube.
So then, Dad's a footballer.
Yep.
Questioning to both of you. Firstly, Danny, did you try and push George or guide George to be a footballer? And was there any part of you?
We tried, didn't we?
We tried. Like
not an option.
Yeah. Oh, well, we tried hard.
Yeah.
Because the money's a lot better.
Yeah.
No, I think I just wanted them to be the best that they could be. And he was half decent at football. I always said if he'd have continued on that path, probably would have played like sort of National League North, National League South. He thinks he's better than that. He still thinks he can play League One.
I promise not now.
But it was at a decent level. We played a couple of charity games. We played a charity game at Wembley together, which was great to be part of. But I think then once he got into running, he got sort of serious around about sort of 14, 15. And then we sat down and had a conversation about actually running's great for football, but football's not great for running. And if you want to take running seriously, you're going to have to sort of give up football, which is a 14, 15-year-old to go from a team sport to an individual sport is quite a big leap.
So 14, 15, you have to make that decision. How did you first get into running? At what point did you kind of think, I enjoy doing this, I like this? What was the start of the journey for you in that respect?
So I always did it as a kid. I specifically remember, well, you'll laugh now, but when we went on holiday to France, most years when you got your break, I'd try Dad would wait for me to run. I'm probably about 10 years old and I'd be like, I'll try sleep until like 10, 11 or something like, he'll go. No, I was waiting.
Really?
Oh yeah. And
I used to like to go for a run about 8, 9 o'clock before it got too hot.
I was like,
and they'd be like, if I sleep in, he'll go and he'll get bored and he'll just go. Oh, no.
He'd wait.
So right from a young age, you were doing that.
Always. It was like drilled in as a kid to be active and be sporty
it was all
and do lots of different things. I wouldn't say it was anything special.
No, there was a rule that don't care how slow you go, you don't stop, and we just get it done. And I might do 2 or 3 loops or 2 or 3 circuits, and as long as the kids did one, that was all right. But it's just 3 boys especially. It's like they're like dogs almost. They need exercise. If not, it's just mayhem. When you're on holiday, sometimes you need a bit of rest. So you have to tire them out a little bit, and that was one of the best ways to do it.
And so it was nothing ever planned. I don't think with running. We always kept fit at home, did bits at school. Like sports day was always exciting, and always wanted to win when it came to that. And then around 13, 14, 15 was doing cross countries and then track in the summer and stuff, and was winning, coming higher up in a few competitions. Like, oh, this is fun. And then you start to do a little bit more training, and you see like, oh, okay, doing a little bit more training, I'm keep getting better. So you kind of get sucked in a little bit to like, okay, if I work even harder, will I just keep getting better and better and better? So I say it kind of snowballed. There wasn't really so much plan, and now we're sat where we are now.
So was it then an easy decision at 14, 15 to go, do you know what, no more football, I'm now going to go all in?
Actually, at that point, I think it was pretty simple, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
it was
determined to do it.
Yeah,
and really happy to do it. But it was just a case of I think, leaving that, like I said, that team environment and mates, and then suddenly going to do something individual at 14, 15 takes quite a lot of courage, because you're leaving that group, you're leaving your peer group, and suddenly you're becoming somebody different. And to be fair, all his mates are great. Without still talks to them now and stuff. So yeah, good decision in the end of it.
Yeah, and then kind of for you, when your son takes that journey to obviously try and make it all the way to the top, like go to Olympics in a few years after that, and you've kind of done that journey yourself, albeit in a different sport, are you kind of then a parent that quite pushy, this is what you got to do, this is how you should do it?
George might
maybe a question for you, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, when I was trying to sleep in and wake up, I was like, man, can this guy just give me a break? But now I'm glad for it, and I think it's given me fundamentals of how to be a professional sportsman and really apply yourself in that sort of trade.
So 14 is running. What sacrifices did you have to make to ensure that come 2024 you're off to the Olympics?
I mean, so in 24, when I was 14, I wasn't thinking, okay, 10, 11 years time.
That's not the long-term goal now?
No, there was no real plan to it at that age. I think it was just, okay, let's go all in a little bit, all in and see what happens. And in terms of sacrifices, I don't really like to use that word, because it's just a choice, right? You either want to go all in and be like a very professional athlete. It's easier to talk about now, because at that age, I wasn't really sure what was going on, didn't have any experience in that field. But in terms of like the last few years, I don't really like to use sacrifices, because you have a choice it's a choice if you want to make it or not. And at the end of the day, it's your job. And if you want to be successful, then you need to go down a route where you don't maybe socialize so much. You have a bit of a strange life.
I think he got serious after won English schools a couple of times, did well at English schools, and then went to win European Youths in Georgia. Obviously, that was a great moment, sort of 18. And then it was the leap to university. So then obviously he took that decision, moved down south, moved to Brighton. And as a student, it was a bit different to most other students.
Yeah.
Wasn't going out, wasn't drinking. Was sleeping with earplugs to make sure he got enough sleep and all that sort of stuff. And he went there purely to train effectively.
But this is where I don't really see it as sacrifices, because it's just something I didn't want to do anything. It's like what I wanted to do. I wanted to apply myself in every way possible to try and be the best runner that I could, and that's just kept every year just getting more and more intense.
But I mean, that's incredible dedication, isn't it? And for you then, Danny, when you think back to you at a similar age, when you're coming through the ranks as a footballer, was it as intense for you at a similar age?
I mean, it was a different era. It was a bit more obviously of a drinking culture and that sort of stuff. But I always say I was never blessed with ability. I was never good enough to just turn up and be it. So fitness was always a part of my game. I was more about stopping the opposition rather than me being good. So that was all about fitness. So I would always go back to every club, top 3 in terms of fitness and running and all that sort of stuff. So I had that background as well. I wanted and needed to be fit. I knew that I had to be fit. But for George and the other kids, it was really like, look, if you want to do something, you need to do it properly. If you want to be good at something, there are no shortcuts. And as long as I see you putting the hard work in, I will support you all the way through, no matter what you want to do in life. As long as you work hard, I'll back you and I'll support you. The moment you stop working hard, you're out. Yeah. You're on your own. Go and sort yourself out. And to be fair, they've all done all right because of that.
Yeah. So then you go to university. It's dedication. For any young athletes watching this then right now, from university to what?
Yep.
8 years later, being sat here right now, about to do what you're doing, what are then the next steps for you?
It's hard to really nail it out, isn't it? I think it's very much a sport where it's not so clear. Like, I think if you talk to every single athlete, they all have a slightly different path to navigate. Like, I think you always want things to happen much sooner than they do. I tried to qualify for, Tokyo, but obviously I didn't get anywhere near the standard, it wasn't at that level, and then you start to think, can I actually get there at one point a little bit? And whereas since I moved to my new team with OAC, we are, since that 2.5 years with the new team, we've really progressed and changed the program a little bit. And
I think what people don't, some probably, and it's relatable to most sports, the transition from junior, under 18, under 19, under 20 to senior level is a huge step. Even though you're running times and there's no physicality like football, you know, and it's sort of still the experience of being on the circuit, of going through that period. You get the odd prodigy come through, but most athletes regress a little bit in that period. You know, they have that breakout season or so. And
we almost plateau a little bit, and then you go and learn your trade on like the C and D meets around Europe, when like you run in some very interesting places. And then and then you start to progress through that. You start to do well there. I'd say it's very similar to tennis,
sure,
as it is such, where you try to build up your world ranking and stuff and those sorts of things. And then you can come and run meets like we'll run tomorrow, like the Diamond League, once you've got to that sort of level.
And for you, Danny, watching your lad doing this, I mean, do you almost kind of get as invested, or maybe even more invested when you're doing it yourself? Yeah, I was going to say, is it worse watching?
Oh, well, it's not just worse watching. Watching athletics is the worst on the planet.
Why is that?
Football's obviously, I've got George's brother plays football.
Yeah,
you'll get another chance. You make a mistake,
sure,
someone to bail you out in the team. Sure. You miss an open goal, it's not a problem. You might, you'll get another opportunity and those types of things. I've said watching athletics is a little bit like watching a sudden death penalty shootout for about half an hour.
Yeah.
It just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Because, touch wood, they don't, but one mistake in a race, and at this level, you're done.
You're done, yeah.
Simple as that. It's tough. So, you've got to get round, get the tactics right, get the positioning right. We've seen it, there's a lot of jostling that goes on a lot of times. And you say, and I've been there where races maybe haven't gone to plan. And the fallout from that is hard.
Plenty of those. Yeah.
but then also, is that when having a dad that's played football and you've experienced the lows? Because physically you're always looking after yourself, but psychologically you can offer really good advice.
That's where I've always been able to help him out on that psychological side of it. Good and bad. Be there for actually. Let's not get too carried away. Let's not get too high. Actually, let's not get too emotional about it, full stop. Emotion in sport don't really work. Passion's amazing. Drive and desire is amazing, but emotion is not great for sport. You need to be calm. So if you get too high, you start to burn energy. You get too low, that's not good for you either. So really, it's just about sort of keeping an even keel. And I think even after all that, we've gone through a lot this year in terms of qualification and qualifying for both events at the Olympics. I think Jordan sent me a text message, and I got one actually. I got this, and they said, actually, this feels pretty cool. And I just went back, don't get too cocky.
You got to go and win it now.
Well, he was pressing me for about 3 days. He's like, oh, you must be well happy, like enjoy it. I was like, oh, it's all right.
Yeah.
And then when I found out, it was actually after I found out about the double selection, I was like, okay, that's all right.
Take us back to that moment. Come on, that must have been, I imagine for you, obviously winning is the most amazing thing, but when you find out you're going to Olympics, just tell us what that's like.
Yeah, so
You seem very cool and calm, don't you, George?
No, I always say, sorry, mate. I won't get much. I'm pretty boring in that sense, but so we actually found out at the race with British champs. So it was top two in the 1500, and you qualify, and me and the other lad were clear coming down the home straight. So it was kind of, then I was like, okay, job done as such, and then. Straight after, I don't know. We were on the finish line and whatsoever. I think
there's a huge moment of relief.
Yeah.
And it's more you expect it. I expect a lot of myself as an athlete now. Like looking at the training I've done over the past 2.5, 3 years, and also all the stuff before, and especially this year as well, since we started the preparation for Paris this October. With how everything's been going, I just expect myself to be at this level now. So it's very much like if it didn't happen, it would be more disappointment rather than when it happens, it's happiness.
And I think that's what, for the family and friends who were there watching, that it's more of a relief than everything else. That's the biggest part. It's like, job done. If you tested the family heart rate through a race or through whatever.
Well, Stan does it actually.
His brother, he's up to 190. It's through the roof.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous because you know how hard he's worked. You know everything that's gone into it to get there. So actually getting there is like ticking a box.
Yeah.
It's like, now what's the next step? Whereas actually, obviously, if you don't tick that box, because obviously we were in Rome when he won the European silver medal. And it's, as a fan, we're amazing. It's off the charts. He's coming and going, Jakob still took a second out of me in that last lap, and it's like, so it's not that you're never happy.
Yeah.
I think as any great sports person, you're always looking, how can I improve?
It's about winning mentality, isn't it?
Yeah,
right? You want nothing other than winning,
you
right?
take the good, you take the positives, but it's always like, what's next?
Be honest, George. You've spoken there about the psychological, gains and help that he can give you. Has he ever given you any, dark arts? I mean, famously on talkSPORT, he revealed that he purposely got Ronaldinho sent off in the 2002 World Cup. Has he ever given you any? What's the word? Call it Hausery tactics?
Yeah.
I don't think that.
It's a bit hard in running.
Yes,
it's a bit more obvious.
It's a bit tougher.
Yeah. You can't get away with that, can you?
I'd say it's a pretty polite sport. There's not so much of that goes on actually. So, and also, when you're running, you're at full throttle really. So there's not so much.
What about the bit where you're all lining up and you're all ready to go and you literally, is there not the odd kind of, don't bottle this, mate, or don't come? Is there anything?
Do you know
like
what?
that?
I've actually never heard anything like that. No one.
Athletics,
Everyone's like very much
a bit more sophisticated.
I don't know. I think everyone's very much just in their own head.
Yeah.
And knowing what the variables are, you're just very much focused on, okay, I need to execute my race, because it's not like you're one against one. If it was one against one, head to head, it could be different. But when I'm there in a 1500, you're there with at least 11 other guys.
Too many people
on
to
the
go
line.
down and try and
Yeah,
get there.
exactly. Yeah. So and when you're at these meets, and for example, if you're in the Olympic final in Paris, everybody's world class. So I think you're going to struggle to go around and get in everyone.
But there is some beef though between some. I mean, you mentioned Jakob earlier. Am I right saying him and Josh Kerr? Is there a little bit of beef between the two of them, or you don't really get involved in that sort of stuff?
Apparently, yeah.
It's nothing too interesting.
It's not like.
It's not like UFC or
Yeah.
something like that where they do a press conference and they're throwing stuff at each other. But
are there any other athletes that you maybe not just in your sport but in other sports that you kind of look at and you look at the way they prepare, the way they sort of compose themselves? Because Danny, different athletes, different sportsmen and women do different things. Is there anyone out there that you've sort of studied and maybe even met before and got some advice on?
not so much as studied or really looked up to, but I think if you look across all sports, whether that's tennis, cycling, golf, everything, you can really tell who the people who really have to work hard for their trade, and you can tell the ones that really go all in, like Djokovic, for example, what you hear about him and how he lives his life. I think that's something that every athlete should look up to and take ideas off as such.
It's Olympic week. Live on the talkSPORT network over the next couple of weeks. We're going to be in Paris. We can't wait for it. I know you're really cool about it, but Danny, come on, you must be buzzing to be getting out there, right?
Yeah. I mean, we bought tickets back in January on the off chance.
Yeah, you gambled.
Gambled.
Rolled the dice.
No pressure, right?
Well, yeah, exactly.
And then they kept coming to every race that I needed to qualify, and I was thinking, man, all right, gotta pull this one.
Yeah,
could cost your old man a lot of money.
exactly. It gets quite expensive. We'll be there cheering on. We won't see him during the Olympics. I know a lot of families will go and see their athletes and whatever. We just leave him. He's in the zone. There'll be a few texts. We'll have a chat from time to time, but literally, it's just he knows what he's doing. He knows what his coach knows. They all know what they're doing, and it's just basically, look, you've got yourself to this position now. Just go and run, and just go and give it everything you've got.
But you're there to work, right?
He's got a what?
You're there to work.
Yeah, of course you are. Yeah.
So it's.
What would it mean to you though to win a medal? I mean, can you think ahead like that, or you got to take it just day by day?
Not really thought about it so much. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it's one race at a time.
That's very cliche.
Yeah, I know.
but
it's deadly serious.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't think there's many people or any who can go into the first round, then the semi-final, and think, okay, I'll think about the final. I don't think there's many people who can really plan that far ahead. You have to be very much in the moment for each race, because I think there's 45 guys that have qualified in the 15 and the 30 something in the 5K. So they're the best guys in the world. So on any day, if somebody outperforms themselves and someone has a bad day, you really have to be.
And I think that's what you find about Olympic year. There is often somebody that comes from a bit left field that you weren't expect. You do get upsets. You do get surprises. So yeah, it is. But it's we're just going, right, okay, get through the heat. If you get through that, we don't have to sell our tickets for the semi-final, and then we're all right. We can use them ones.
It's all about you, isn't it?
Oh, without a
I mean,
doubt.
come on.
So yeah. So but that's what it is. It's that mentality of just get through, and then if you make a final, just see what happens.
To bring back memories for you though, when you see what he's, in the build up, going to a World Cup and stuff like
It's
that.
quite different, I think, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
a little bit.
It's teams. I mean, he lives obviously with his teammates and lives with his best mate Tom most of the year. But it's very, very different because it's just, before the Europeans, he went off to a Tuscany camp on his own, sort of almost no Wi-Fi, just for a week, just to chill out a little bit and just be away from stuff and just to train and just to get into that headspace. You're doing that on your own, and it's not lonely. You're around people, but you're just focused and it's just you. Simple as that. And that's where it is completely different to football.
Final word for you, George. All ready to go?
I will be.
Yeah. What have you got to do?
Final preparation.
Any home comforts coming out with you? Any
I
home
don't
comforts?
do home comforts.
No.
Oh, hang on, rice cooker?
Yeah.
The rice
Did you
cooker's not made it.
Oh, is that, was it not?
No.
No? Any
I've took my pillow. Pillow.
There you go, that's home comfort.
Rice cooker. I'll buy the rice
Tea bags,
cooker.
I think, the one you got to.
Tea bag. I'm not
tea abroad,
a
not-
tea
you
drinker.
like tea?
Yeah, not-
George lives off sourdough, blueberries, almond butter, and rice.
That's it.
That's pretty
Yeah,
much
That's
it.
always
and
what
then
it is.
some, and then some
Yeah.
meat, then some meat or fish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
To
pretty
keep
much
it
it.
top.
Morning,
we
noon, and
keep
night.
it simple. Yeah.
George, wish you all the best of luck, mate. Thank you
Thanks
very,
a
very
lot.
much.
Cheers.
Good stuff.